You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Good evening. My name is Peter Basserman, and I'm chairman of the Branford Inland Wetland Commission. I will now open a regularly scheduled meeting of that commission. Today is February 26, 2026. It is now 7 o'clock. This evening's meeting will be conducted as a virtual meeting using the Zoom software conferencing platform. It's held in accordance with Connecticut Public Act 22-3 and the Inland Wetland and Watercourses regulations of the town of Branford. Documents referenced during the meeting are available on the town's OpenGov portal or on the agency's webpage. Final agenda for tonight's meeting was filed February 24th and is posted on the town's website. Links to the material related to tonight's meeting are included on the agenda. Branford Community Television will be recording and broadcasting tonight's meeting. We're certainly thankful for that service. As a reminder for those speaking at this evening's proceeding, please be conscious of positioning your camera so that the face is visible on the recording to ensure an accurate and complete record of discussions each time a statement or comment is made during tonight's meeting. Speaking must announce her name before articulating such comment. This applies to any party wishing to participate. You may also use the raise your hand feature of the Zoom platform to indicate a desire to speak. You might consider muting the microphone when you're not speaking to avoid any background noise. This commission has the responsibility and authority to apply Connecticut statutes and Branford Inland Wetland and Watercourses regulations to matters it considers. The commission's role is limited to the protection, preservation, and regulation of inland wetland and watercourses and any land use activity that would significantly adversely impact them. Commission our regulations and seeks to apply those regulations consistently and uniformly in its considerations. I'll now take a roll call of the commissioners on the call. When I announce your name, please indicate a reply of present. Commissioner Goklowski.
Commissioner Goklowski, present.
Commissioner Begeman.
Commissioner Begeman, present.
Commissioner Armstrong.
Armstrong, present.
Commissioner Boda. Okay, Commissioner Mirsky.
Commissioner Mirsky, present.
I think I have everyone. And also for
Commissioner
staff.
Papantonis, present.
See, I'm limited to 15. Oh, yeah. Okay, we got a full board tonight. Let's see, we have environmental associate.
Commissioner Bassman,
Sorry?
I see Commissioner Bada is on the call. I don't know if her mic was muted when you did the roll call.
She indicated yes, she was here.
Okay.
Environmental associate Sandberg.
Present.
And Deputy Director Frederick.
Present.
I don't see Heather this evening, correct?
Correct. She has the night off.
All the commissioners that are present are able to vote. We have a quorum. We will proceed. Therefore, all the commissioners are seated. Is there any commissioner this evening that feels that on any of the items that they need to recuse themselves from this discussion this evening? Regarding staff, any changes to the agenda, deletions, or additions?
No changes proposed.
All right, first up is the approval of the minutes of February 12th, 2026. Looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
This is Commissioner Begman. I move that we approve the minutes of the regularly scheduled inland wetlands meeting on February 12th, 26.
Does Commissioner Gokowski? I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? As has been our practice, we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Gokowski,
Commissioner Gokowski,
how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Begman, Commissioner
Commissioner
Begman,
Begman, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong,
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
Commissioner Papatonis,
Commissioner Papantonis, aye.
Commissioner Boda,
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Murski.
Commissioner Murski, aye.
Okay, commissioners that are seated for the public hearings are required to be fair and independent, not predisposed to any outcome. The commission must decide the merit of the application from the facts as they appear on the record for their own personal observations and expertise, and if needed, expertise from third parties with qualified technical credentials. Permit decisions must be concluded within timeframes specified by Connecticut statutes and our regulations. As noted on the agenda, I will now reopen the continued public hearing on Inland Wetland 25-6. For this hearing is first, the applicant will discuss any additional material provided since our last meeting. Next, we'll hear from the peer review folk, followed by questions from the commission regarding the information presented, and then the public may comment. If these discussions require additional time to complete, the hearing will be continued. After all parties have concluded their testimony and questions have been addressed, the public hearing will be closed. By state statute, the commission has 35 days to make a decision. I'm going to now turn over the meeting to Mr. Nuff.
Excuse me. Evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Nuff. I'm an attorney with an office at 42 Cherry Street in Milford, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Compass. Just to bring you up to speed and remind you what happened at the first session of the public hearing. We reviewed our response letter, I should say Eric Linquist's response letter to the peer review. And that response letter indicated that we would make changes to the plans, and we didn't want to argue with too many different sets of plans. And so we agreed that we would revise the plans in accordance with the request by the peer reviewers, but also taking into account anything that the commission had to say. We submitted those revised plans shortly after the last session. The plans were reviewed by your peer reviewers, and they have indicated that all of their comments have been addressed, and we appreciate that. Next, we have also submitted responses to the town engineer memo, and we apologize for having overlooked that for a period of time. I mean, frankly, we thought that the peer review would supersede that, and that they were also more primarily directed toward planning and zoning issues, but nonetheless, we have provided a response to that. There was a little bit of overlap with regard to the outfall, and I think Eric is going to talk about that when he addresses you in a moment. One issue with regard to the town engineer's comments, there was a reference to a sidewalk, and we'll discuss this with more particularity. I think we have an exhibit that we can show you, but I think you know from looking at the plans last time, there is a pond on the eastern side of our property that pretty much goes up to the road. There's a large wetland on the far west side. So, and there is a sidewalk to our east in front of the YMCA, and there's nothing to our west. If you were to create a sidewalk that had any meaningful impact that could connect, I think you would have to build at least one bridge and perhaps two. It might be able to connect to the YMCA over the pond, and that would be the only place it would go. And to the west, you would have to build it either through the wetlands, but again, there's nothing on the opposite side for it to connect to. Even if we were to build a sidewalk only on our property, staying out of the watercourse and the wetland, we would still be doing regulated activities because we're doing work in the up and rear area. So it it is our request that, and I guess this is more of a zoning issue than it is a wetland issue, but that we not build that sidewalk because it would have no meaningful impact and would not connect the sidewalk on either end. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. At the last hearing, we also had a conversation about conservation easement. I had extended conversations with my client with regard to the conservation easement. Your town attorney, Bill Anskovich, was kind enough to provide us a draft that has been utilized by the town before. I have submitted an email to Jamie and Olivia, who've been super helpful, with a draft conservation easement and a draft map showing what area would be conserved. We're happy to discuss a little bit further, but it's a fairly standard conservation easement that would run to the benefit of the land trust and not to the town of Branford. And that was at Attorney Anskovich's recommendation, and I support that just because of the process of having to go through the conveyance of property to or from the town. It requires P&Z peer review, P&Z review under 824, as well as your town legislative body, and obviously the land trust can be entrusted with being the grantee of that easement. And then the last thing is, Jamie and I had a discussion today with regard to the management plan as required by section 7.10 of your regulations, and she calls this out in her staff report. And what that is, and I'll read it for you. It says, if compensation is proposed or required as a condition of approval, a management plan is required that must include, but not limited to, the following criteria: a bond, report intervals of six months, 1 year, and then thereafter annually for a period no less than 5 years, to confirm that 85% of the new plantings have survived, monitoring control of invasive species. So we're happy to submit that, but I would note that this can be required in response to a condition of approval. So I would hope that if we're all feeling pretty confident about where we land tonight, that we're still being an opportunity that we could close the hearing and then perhaps vote at the next meeting. But let's see how things go with Eric's presentation, then we can return to the rest of those matters. That I'll give you Eric Lindquist. I would note that Matt Regan, who is our soil scientist, is under the weather this evening and is not available, so we apologize for that, but we don't think there's much that falls within Matt's jurisdiction anyway. So, Eric.
Good evening. For the record, again, my name is Eric Lindquist, Senior Project Manager with Time Bond and a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut. Like John had said, we were provided staff comments and engineering department plan review comments and report comments yesterday. We tried to be expeditious and get those back to the commission prior to this meeting, so we got them. I believe we got them back earlier today or maybe late yesterday. So I can go through the comments with you. More than happy to expound upon anything in the letter. I believe there was a total of 9 comments, 7 of which were for the plans and 2 of which were for the report. The first comment was regarding 2-on-1 slopes, which is really a P&Z issue, but he brought it up at this time. There's a requirement in the zoning regs that no slopes can be steeper than 3-on-1. We did resolve that in our plan revision. There was an area with 2-on-1 slopes. It was to the east of the loading dock. And in the last plan review, you'll see that area is clouded. We did flatten that area off and made it 3-on-1. And there's a low knee wall there now. So there is nowhere else on site where there are 3-on-1 walls. So that comment 1 should be addressed. There were some comments there's a question in comment 2 about providing additional freeboard for some area drains within the courtyard. I agreed with the comment, and we'd be more than happy to revise that and update the plans to provide a little bit more of a delta between the finished floor and the yard drains. So if there is ponding, there's no susceptibility for them to get into the doorways. We would also show that the grading allows for that water to escape the courtyard through the gap over by the loading area, which we're absolutely fine addressing and including. That is the intent, just so you guys all know. It just wasn't clearly shown on the plan, so we'll add additional spot grade information and lower those grades to make sure that it's very clear that that's what's going on. There was a comment number 3 about the existing spillway. This was additionally a comment from the third-party review engineer that it be identified on the plan. We were also asked to do on the third-party review a detail for the berm. These are typically items we put in our construction documents phase and get into more of the details and stuff like that. So The intent is to provide this. In our response, we gave a little bit more detail on what that spillway will be, so that it's clear to the engineer what we're proposing for this. And essentially, now that we've added an access maintenance loop around the pond, the spillway will need to be of a material like a concrete revetment or a large modified riprap stone that's placed in such a way that a vehicle can go over it without destabilizing it. So the detail will make sure to show that. And as we noted in our initial presentation, the spillway is designed to be discharging where our proposed discharge is. So if the spillway ever does overtop, which is obviously not the case, this is an emergency spillway if something catastrophic happens, which we don't hope would happen. But if that does happen, the discharge would go down to our existing or our proposed discharges, which was a discussion of our last public hearing, where we talked about reorienting the level spreader and all that. That's where this would be directed to. So we're not creating a new discharge location. So hopefully that will address his comment for now. And we're more than happy to work with the engineer to provide additional detail and update this as much as would be needed. John already discussed the public sidewalk discussion. That was his fourth comment. As John noted, we don't think this is necessary or prudent for this location and where the bus stop is located. We're just not proposing it this time, so this shouldn't be an issue for you guys since it's not on the plans. There was a request by him also to adjust where our sanitary lateral goes out in the plans, so we have done that, or we will do that. It's just we showed it connecting in a Y connection to the main. He wants it going directly to a manhole. Not a problem. We can do that. And then he had a comment on the grease trap, which we also acknowledged we would do and have no problem with. Going into the report comments, there were some things he noted regarding our maintenance protocols. So the first one was about adding additional clarification that the inland wetland agent be involved in the erosion control discussions early on. We agree with that. We had a long list in our erosion control plans of people who should be there for the pre-construction meeting, the engineering department and others. The inland wetland rep agent wasn't on the list, so we're more than happy to add that person as well to the list. And we also reminded the engineer, which he might not have been knowledgeable of, that the town has the ability to provide additional comments. That was a note added from the third-party review to have the town gives the town the ability to add additional erosion controls or request them. And that note was also added to the plans as part of the prior revisions we made. And his last comment was regarding a maintenance log for the inspections. And if you go to the rear of the engineering report under the last tab, we do have an M&I plan, a maintenance and inspection plan with these logs. And he wanted to see more information within the log. We're more than happy to add anything he wants. He wasn't clear on what additional information he wanted in there. At least to me, I'm more than happy to discuss it with him. But that's something that can easily be added and we don't have an issue with at all. So those were the engineering comments. I took no exception to any of those. And, these will all be easily addressed in the plans. Most of these comments, as I noted, are really more of a planning and zoning issue than it is for you guys. I would say with the exception of the erosion control comments in the berm or the spillway, but that sums up the engineering comments. And if anyone has any question on those, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Eric, could you do me one favor and just show the easement map?
Yeah, sure. There's the share button. So as John was mentioning, we prepared this map and this was submitted earlier today showing an approximate location of what we consider would be in line with the discussions that have been made to date. This burgundy area on the plan shows what the location of what we consider the conservation easement based on the steep slopes. This gives us enough room to have our level spreader over here and be outside the easement so we could still work on things and do the various activities we need to do, as well as being outside the primary berm for the detention pond. But outside of that, this whole downslope area to the river would be under the easement.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chairman, we're happy to answer any questions. I know there was some discussion regarding the outfall in particular. I know that the plans, in accordance with what Eric told you last time and in the response memo, have significantly broadened that discharge area. The vegetation that was requested is now depicted in the landscape plan, so we're happy to show you more detail on that. I see that Bob Russo's here, so perhaps, or you want to however you would like us to go forward, we're happy to do, Mr. Chairman.
This is Chairman Basserman. Before we address the commission questions, I guess I would like Mr. Russo to chime in, and then we'll be able to deal with both of the presentations with our comments. Mr. Russo?
Sure. This is Bob Russo from CLA Engineers. I will just ask the chairman, would you like to see the response letter, our second response letter on the screen, which indicates that we feel each item was successfully addressed? Or would you like me to just touch on a couple of the highlights? I'd be happy to do either. If Jamie Frederick could bring up that letter, we could go through it just so the commission can see. Otherwise, I would be happy to just touch on a couple highlights if that's what you want.
I prefer the latter. Yeah, the highlights, those that
Highlights.
might be more significant in the impact in the wetland area would be appreciated.
Understood. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is what Attorney Nuff just referred to, the level spreader that will be the outlet for the stormwater wetland. We had commented that we would like to see the level spreader wider so that the water is dispersed over a wider portion of the landscape, and that vegetation be planted downslope of that level spreader. Kyle Halbert, who is not able to be here tonight, and I reviewed the design revision to that level spreader. It was made significantly wider. In fact, as far as it could practically be widened, it has been widened, and the landscaping plan shows native species of grasses being planted downslope of that level spreader. They are appropriate species and species that will root well in the soil that's there. Thank you, Jamie Frederick, for putting that up. You can see for that level spreader in the immediate area below the riprap, there are different plugs of grass species to be planted there, as well as seeding with a native mix and annual rye. The annual rye is something that grows up fast to stabilize the soil. The native wood mix is appropriate for that location, which is going to still be surrounded by woods. And the grasses that were chosen, that you see the 33 and 51 plugs of, are appropriate native species that will be put in there. The sedge and the switchgrass. In addition, we had asked for some revisions to that stormwater wetland. And I think, as Attorney Nuff mentioned, access for cleaning out that has been provided, and revisions showing the spillway, which are over on the northeast side, have been provided as well. So the concerns for the stormwater wetland itself have been addressed. We also provided some notes about erosion and sedimentation control at various points throughout the site, and those have been addressed. I'll also comment that the conservation easement that's shown is very much what I envisioned would be a good area to protect on this site. It is steep slope. It is going down to the Branford River. It'll provide a protected, significantly wide vegetated buffer around the river. In summary, all of the comments that we provided have been addressed by the applicant, we think successfully addressed, and we did not have any additional comments beyond those. So our feeling at CLA is that the plans are properly revised per our comments. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Yes, Commissioner Bassett, I have one. As we talked about the level spreader, does that change the hydrological effect, given the fact that we now have a wider spreader, and I guess we've added some plant material to help slow down the velocity? Is that a correct statement, or does it really not have an impact?
It's a correct statement, and that the desired effect is to minimize the chances that when the water passes over the level spreader, and starts to go over the surface of the ground, there's less of a chance that it will reconcentrate and recollect and lead to an erosion problem. So it does, in a hydrologic sense, it spreads the water out and tends to come closer to generating sheet flow as opposed to a point discharge. And that's desirable.
I guess this is now an appropriate time if the commission has questions for either the applicant or Mr. Russo. Now is the time to raise those questions.
So this is Commissioner Boda and still on that final outfall, and this could be for Mr. Russo, Mr. Lindquist, or both. So I noticed the invert for that is 103, and then we decline from there in elevation, which if we go then to where the water is coming into the pond, we can see that the invert is, where is it, 111, and then that where the riprap rapin it is 110, and then we have this little increase, a little berm that goes to 112, and I'm assuming that's like a little, it's meant to catch the water before it goes into the larger pond. And so I'm just wondering why you wouldn't have a similar kind of increase in elevation to slow the water down before it heads to the level spreader.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to answer that. So all these things are part of design elements. The area in question you're talking about where it enters the pond at the concrete end section 1 and enters into that smaller basin, that's what's called a sediment forebay. And that's actually a design element that Connecticut Deep wants. And the intention of that is to create an initial plunge pool where it can give an initial ability for the pond to discharge more and more sediment from that area so it doesn't get into the larger pond. So that's really an area it's like a preliminary, like you have the pre-treatment of the stormwater quality structure, the hydrodynamic separator before the pond. This is kind of another pre-treatment before it goes to the main body of the pond. And all these elevations are set because it needs to be smaller, and you want it up higher because the pond goes deeper. So it needs to be elevated a little bit more than the rest of the pond so that it can go over, fill up the pond, and they're kind of separated. The other controls for the out control structure is completely based on the other things I mentioned earlier on in the presentation. There needs to be a standing water elevation, a permanent pool that is of such an elevation to provide the water quality volume. That's also a Connecticut Deep requirement. There's the vegetated bench there that will rise up. That's another water quality element. And you'll have an outlet control structure within or an orifice within the outlet control structure that's set at that water quality elevation so that once water starts going above that, then you're having a slow discharge out that mitigates the rate of discharge. And that's how we're able to meet the flows going down the hillside to match existing flows. That's what really sets the pond elevations and all the various kind of things that are going on. And, as I've noted before, the discharge location was just something trying to get it as far down the hill as possible so that we're not discharging because we knew this would be a concern, discharging on a slope. So we wanted to do all the things we could to mitigate and lengthen the run down the hill as we could before we started disturbing trees and things like that.
And so an additional, because it just looks like from that outlet, you're at 108 and then it goes down to 103. And so I guess that you've got that level spreader, but it wouldn't be useful to have it like a similar kind of that forebay, but its purpose is less, I guess, about the sediment and more about slowing velocity or disrupting velocity.
And don't forget that pond. I could take the screen back just so I can move around a little bit and spare you the trouble, Jamie. Let me get to my screen here. So I'm on the same page as well right now. But don't forget this level spreader. We did provide a detail for this, and probably be easier if I scroll over here to go right to it. So the detailed level spreader is kind of similar to what the sediment forebay is. So the discharge location, the 103 you're talking about, is up here, and there'll be a riprap slope that comes down into this level spreader. There is a plunge pool here that's designed to dissipate the energy of the water coming off the hillside or out of the discharge pipe. And then it goes along this long level spreader to slow it down and disperse it. And then it builds up to the precast concrete or the cast in place concrete curb where it overflows, goes onto an erosion control net, and then hits those grasses that were just discussed by Bob. So this is a little pool area similar to that sediment forebay that slows the water down, spreads it out. It will actually, if there is sediment left in the water, we'd hope by this point there wouldn't be, but it would provide for additional measures of that, but it wouldn't be significant.
Okay, so that's on the detail.
Correct. Detail sheet 6 on page C606. And there was a question.
So the top elevation, that is that the 101?
There's 2 level spreaders, so we have both of them in here. There's level spreader 1 and 2, and that's why they're clouded here. That was one of the third-party review comments. There wasn't enough detail on these to show what those elevations were, so that's why they're clouded and these were added. But the other level spreader in question, we'll go to that right now. I think it's over on this sheet. The other level spreader is over here, the smaller one that has that single water quality structure inlet. This is also a level spreader over here. This is level spreader 2. It will operate the same way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Let's say for the moment that the pond was not on the property and you determined engineering wise that a retention basin was the appropriate vehicle for managing the stormwater. Would you have located that retention pond in a different area?
That's one of the craziest things about this. It's exactly where I would have put it. And I think Bob made a similar comment when we were discussing with him. It's exactly where you'd want to have this thing located for this development. I mean, we did custom the site a little bit to make sure we didn't disturb it and had room for it, but not much.
And as a follow, Commissioner Basserman again, as a follow-up, would the design of that stormwater retention pond be different than the pond that we're looking at in its now re-engineered state?
Not much, because like I said, I'll share my screen again showing the pond. The pond, I mean, the prior owner of the property did a pretty crazy job locating this and putting it in a good spot. But it's, like I said, it's in the rear of the property, closest to the river where you'd want it to be. So hydrologically speaking, it's in the perfect location. The only thing I might change is the shape of it a little bit. Usually want these things a little bit more oval so they're equal widths and not like kidney bean shaped like this is. But that's a fairly minimal issue, and it doesn't really take away from its functionality at all. It's just a more efficient use of space if you could do it in a more oval shape. But that, like you see, it's pretty much an oval as it is. It's located with the contours perpendicular, parallel to them. So everything about its location and positioning and size worked out tremendously well. And I was surprised how well it worked, to be honest with you, when we provide the water quality volume, and it worked perfectly in there.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Begemon. I have 2 questions. And you probably explained this in your graphs and charts. It has to do with the size of the pipe that goes into that pond, which is 24 inches, and then the pipe that goes to the big level spreader, which is 12 inches. And to my way of thinking, it's like, okay, so twice as much water can come in than can go out. And you've probably calculated how many inches of rain, et cetera, before it overtops the, becomes a spillway, needs to use this spillway. And what storm has that been calculated for? And
the pond itself is designed up to a 100-year storm. The piping network for the site, I believe it's a 25, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's a 50. I don't think it's a 10, but I'm pretty sure it was a 25 we designed. It's per the town requirements. So the piping network is designed differently than the pond. If you designed all piping for a 100-year storm, you'd have massive pipes everywhere. It's just not a common design practice. So the pond itself is designed for all the storms. You have to show that you're not increasing flows for the low flow storms. So you can't design a pond that's overly big and just shoots the water all out. So your 2-year storms are huge and you're increasing flows. So you designed it to throttle it back. But if you throttle it too much, then there's not enough storage and the 100-year starts kicking out too high. So it's a whole balancing act with the outlet control structure, which is sized to mitigate the flows going out so that you're not increasing flows. If I put a 24-inch pipe there, I could, but our pond wouldn't be functioning as it's supposed to, because obviously this site's a grass site right now, and there's not as much flow coming off. We've now paved it, put roof, all this other stuff. So there's a lot of more flow that's not infiltrating into the ground because of the impervious coverages. So the pipes need to be bigger to convey that. But once it gets in the pond and it does its job, it's down to the smaller flows that discharge. So that's why the pipe's smaller.
Okay, thank you. And the other has to do with, okay, so when you're in construction phase, you're going to have around that big level spreader, hay bales and silt fencing.
Mhm.
And then there's going to be a transition to planting plants. And can somebody speak, maybe Mr. Russo can speak to, how does that transition happen in a way that that the native plants replace the other without having erosion? What's the timing sequence of that?
Well, that was one of the concerns. Bob, do you want to go, or do you want me to go? Or
Go ahead, because it is
Okay.
your design, but I'd be
Yeah,
happy.
no, I just wanted to make sure, because the question was kind of, but so basically, this was a similar question that Bob had in his third-party review. And the goal and what our instruction is going to be to the contractor when they go out here is, I want this pond and the level spreader and all this built and stabilized as quickly as possible, so that we're not discharging site flow into the pond. Because then what happens is every single time it rains, you're washing out what you just did. It's disturbing it all. It's mixing it up, and it doesn't stabilize. So we don't want a direct runoff to this until it's all been stabilized and in good shape, and then we'll start discharging the site to it. That's why when we go to the erosion control plans, you'll see, they're not going to do a mass excavation of the site where it's we're disturbing everything right away and it's got to be taken somewhere. We're going to try and do this in the back first, and then start doing the mass earthwork so that it can go to this pond and it's stabilized, and all those things you're worried about are taken care of.
But how does the contractor decide when to start doing those?
It will be part of the plan. It's part of in our erosion control plan, we have a construction sequence, and that's put to the front. And we'd also obviously have a pre-construction meeting. We talk to the bidders when they go for the job and tell them what needs to be done. Make sure you're pricing that in, that you're doing this first, so your time schedules all line up and everything like that. So they know they need to do that first. They know this is a critical area that they have to make perfect, because you guys are all going to come out there and look at it. So get this done right, and then then start doing the site. So that'll be priced into their documents and their bids, and it'll be done according to the plans and how we want it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions, comments for either Mr. Russo or Mr. Lindquist?
This is Commissioner Gofowski. What is the timeline? What is the optimum timeline that you're looking to begin construction on the property?
Well, first we'll have to get planning and zoning approval. Once we get that, we'll submit for the Connecticut Deep General Permit, which will take 2 months. We can't even start earthwork out there until then. But I think there's also a little bit of a gap because architecture hasn't been engaged yet. I don't know the exact time frame. I apologize for that, but they'll have to get their drawings up to speed. Site civil is way ahead right now. The architectural team will have to come on board, get this building up to speed. That'll take some time. There will be an ability to have the site work start ahead of them, but I would guess work would start at some point over the summer or fall. That's my guess, but I apologize for not having the exact answer.
All right, so you're shooting to have the work done in the pond area prior to next winter, is what you're saying.
I believe that would be the goal, yes.
You're trying to get a planting season in before the winter.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no more, this is Commissioner Basserman, if there are no more comments, questions from the commission, I guess we can open it up to the public. Are we ready to do that, folk? Okay, is there any member of the public that would like to make a comment? Please raise your hand or somehow acknowledge that you'd like to speak. I see Michael. You'd like to say a few words? You're muted,
Yeah.
Mike. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, thank you. I just was trying to unmute myself. So just very briefly, I received earlier today from Attorney Knopf. As you know, I'm Michael Leone. I represent Woodwinds, which is downhill. I have to say Attorney Knopf's been great in responding to us and getting us the information we need. The tree cutting plan and everything looks very good with regards to my client. One thing I did receive today, which we're digesting, but seems to be exactly what needs to be happened, is the proposed easement to the land trust. I do want to know how that's going to be accomplished at the end of the day, but other than that, I think everything's looking good. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. I see two hands raised. I think I saw Ms. Brown's hand first.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Lauren Brown. I have two questions. First, I've heard talk about the inspections, and I guess I'm asking this question on behalf of the Land Trust. When inland wetlands personnel go out for inspections, are members of the public able to join those expeditions?
That's just a pre-construction meeting for what the comment discussion was about. It's a pre-construction meeting with the contractor to the town before work gets started at the site. That's typically not something open to the public. I deflect to the town how that's typically handled, but usually it's the owners group and the town's group and the contractor just making sure things are done according to the plans and according to everything that was approved. Routine inspections won't be done. I mean, the town will probably be coming out there and taking a look every once in a while, but all the inspections we've been talking about are for the contractor and for the engineer and whatnot to set up a routine schedule for when it rains and other things. There's going to be a Connecticut deep general permit as part of this for stormwater discharge, where there's a whole slew of protocols that need to be followed regarding, like I said, rainfall events and when things will be done. That's not something that the public is involved with either. So those are all just things that happen on a day by day, week by week basis to make sure the site is properly stabilized and that the contractor is held accountable for what's being required.
No, I think what I was thinking of was more inspections being done by the agency as construction goes along. It's more a question for the inland wetlands personnel than for the applicant.
Jamie Frederick, in the wetland agent. So inspections during construction are done by town staff. I'm not familiar with a case where we've ever had it open to the public. And commissioners also do not attend those inspections. The only site visit that's open to the public is a site walk conducted during review of an application and or an enforcement action.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question is, as an individual, I'm asking this. I've taught botany courses over the years, worked as a botanist with a special interest in grasses, and I wasn't able to see the whole list of the species. But I did notice Pennisetum, which is not a native grass, and I don't know how much detail you need to get into at this point. So I guess my question is are those species cast in stone once the if and when the application is approved, or is there room for discussion on actual species? I know the planning and zoning is moving a lot towards requiring more use of more native species, so it's a concern.
Jamie, is that something you'd answer or?
Jamie Frederick, inland wetland agent. We could certainly take a closer look at that. Are you saying the Pennisetum? I'm just going to screen share real quick.
Well, just for clarification, one of the reasons the Pennisetum, and it was all we agreed with the option 2, but one of the reasons the Pennisetum, the switchgrass, was selected was because it was recommended by the land trust last time.
The Branford Land Trust?
Yeah, one of your fellow members actually mentioned switchgrass being
No,
an
no,
option.
no. Oh, this is a misunderstanding. Panicum virgatum, the switchgrass. That's what he mentioned. But on the list, sit at the bottom under perennials, number 91, Panacetum. That's the one I'm talking about, the fountain grass.
That's probably more ornamental up by the building, but this is more the stuff that's not being
Okay,
proposed down here.
okay. Yes, no, and we do appreciate your incorporating the switchgrass.
Okay.
Mr. Anaskevich?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill Anaskevich, Town Attorney Brenner Saltzman Woolman. I just, by way of clarification and responding to Attorney Leone's question, we have requested that the Branford Land Trust accept an easement in its favor. We have also made it clear that part of that acceptance will require a clear sort of sense of how the land trust would access that property in order to preserve that. But I just want to state for the record that at this point we have requested that, and that they have to go through their approval processes that we expect or we think will occur sometime next month. And to the extent that the land trust declines the offer, we would require that the easement be executed in favor of the town. So yes, we're trying to make this as efficient and seamless as possible, but we also recognize that this is a request of the land trust at this point. And I just wanted to be clear about that. I did have, I know Jamie has spoken with land trust representatives. I spoke to the land trust president today as well, just to clarify that we were asking and that we respect their process. So I would work with staff and Attorney Nuff, Attorney Leone, whoever is involved in that, to make sure that we can execute the easement in favor of the right party.
Thank you for that. Any other comments from the public? So we've heard from the applicant, we've heard from the peer review folk, we've had some public comment. Does staff have any questions at this point or concerns that they want to raise before we close the public hearing?
Jamie Frederick, Inland Wetland Agent. So I did prepare a staff report. It was sent out to the applicant and added to the file yesterday. I believe it was also distributed to commissioners. I think the staff report identifies a couple minor revisions to the site plans that might be beneficial, and also indicates that we do not have a mitigation maintenance plan. I know that Attorney Nuff spoke that they'd be happy to provide one. So I just want to bring those points to the commission's attention. And if you want, I can pull up my staff report and we can walk through it.
Yes.
All right, give me a minute.
Again, you know, as we did with Mr. Russo, those that are minor, you can, I think, we'll read through. Just let's hit the highlights. You're muted, Jamie.
Sorry, bear with me for a minute. I think I've been logged into the portal for too long and it's angry at me, so I'm gonna have to close my browser and reopen it. Okay. So the first page is mostly points of order, so I will skip over that. Sediment and erosion controls, I kind of overviewed what was provided, revisions that were made. I'll just highlight things that may warrant another look or commission consideration. There's a small section where when the plans were revised, it looks like the erosion controls were left off. So it's a pretty identifiable stretch along the existing driveway on 596 East Main Street. Potentially could be a condition of approval if the commission is comfortable with that. I also asked in that same area whether the limit of disturbance between wetland flags 2123 and 2124 could be brought closer up the slope to that existing driveway, and what measures were proposed to capture sediment that might be suspended in water diverted by the water bars. I can just pull that up real quick so that it makes sense. I'm going to jump to phase 2. So this is the section where the erosion controls would need to be added. Currently terminate at the driveway, but there's some proposed grading here. And then this is where I was asking for the LOD to be kind of brought up along that edge of driveway. And then in regards to these water bars, if there's any sediment that's being transported down the driveway and any stormwater that's coming down the driveway, I think just having some sort of measure here to make sure that any runoff towards the wetland has an erosion, sedimentation and erosion control feature would be beneficial. I think those are all pretty definable things that could be outlined, but I will leave that for the commission to determine. Stormwater, we've gone over the fact that they are providing for the water quality volume. They are not retaining on site given the full water quality volume on site given the proposed stormwater management mechanisms. And they've provided rationale for why that is in their prudent and feasible alternative analysis. They did provide drainage calculations. They do have a reduction in peak flows for all storm events, but given the fact that they're not infiltrating through the basin, there will be an increase in volume. And again, that is outlined in the prudent and feasible alternatives. I think that's mostly just recapping things that they've changed to address comments. Landscaping plan, they did add some additional plantings as we've discussed. Restoration plan is required because there is more than 750 square feet of disturbance. They're not proposing 2-to-1 mitigation. However, they are proposing 1-to-1 mitigation. The regulation looks for 2-to-1 mitigation, not to be reduced to less than 1-to-1 mitigation. So it is permittable through the regulation at the commission's discretion. They are converting the man-made pond on site, one of the man-made ponds on site, to a stormwater wetland. That's the disturbance. And they're proposing to restore it to a wetland, so 1-to-1. We have maintenance addressing stormwater in the first 24 hours of planting, but we don't really have a full maintenance plan for the wetland and mitigation areas. And same with monitoring plan. And I copied and pasted section 710. We did receive a prudent and feasible alternative analysis. It was required because the commission did find that there may be significant impact. I would stress that if commissioners have any outstanding concerns regarding the prudent and feasible alternative analysis, to let the applicant know so that they can address those concerns. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
This is Commissioner Baskerman. Jamie, are there any of those that you still have concern with that can't be handled as a condition?
I'm not sure if town council's still available, if he's willing to be put on the spot. I would say the one I'm a little bit hesitant about would be the monitoring plan for the mitigation area. Do you have any input on whether that's okay to accept as a condition of approval?
I don't see any problem with it from a procedural standpoint, no.
And Jamie, if I can jump in, it's John, I'll just reiterate. I had a little bit of, I don't know, I was questioning it as well. And then I actually read the introductory language. It said if compensation is proposed or required as a condition of approval. So it already acknowledges, or implicit in the regulation, is that it could be submitted in response to a condition of approval. I think it's appropriate, but listen, we've come a long way together. I think that, Eric certainly has gained your trust in terms of the thoroughness of his submissions. I don't have any qualms about that. We will submit a plan that, staff will be satisfied with, but we're happy to do whatever the commission preference.
This is Commissioner Bassman. Jamie, have we not accepted, that item as a condition previously?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I cannot think of one specifically off the top of my head. However, I don't know. My only issue would be from a process issue.
Yeah.
I think that the terms that the commission's looking for are outlined in 710. So I mean, I think it's up to the commission to determine where you land on that.
Can you post 710? Any way to increase that font?
That better?
Yes, much. The alternative, this is Commissioner Bassman, the alternative of we don't consider it as a condition would be what? Included in the plan as submitted prior to approval?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Yeah. So section 7 of the regulations is the application requirement section.
Right.
So I mean, basically, the commission is determining whether this is something you need to review as part of the application to determine whether or not a permit could be issued, or is this a requirement that needs to be satisfied and that could potentially be satisfied through a permit condition reviewed by staff for compliance with section 710.
This is Commissioner Bassman. If the condition, if we choose not to grant it as a condition of approval, does that mean that everything has got to be open for another meeting?
Well, I would say you would probably want to make it a condition of approval or have that material provided prior to closing the public hearing. No application materials can be received after the hearing has been closed.
Right.
Jamie, this is Commissioner Boda. I'm just wondering, I guess more a thought exercise than anything, but sometimes what we do with larger developments, subdivisions, things come back for individual site plan, right? So we approve a permit, an application, and then we're like, this part right here needs to come back to the commission for approval. How is this similar, different than that?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So that language makes me hesitant because then to me, it seems like something you wanted to review in order to be able to issue the permit. So I would argue with that logic that you would probably want that plan to review. I also would, so I think that what you're talking about is pretty focused to subdivisions and is something we're trying to clean up on process end. Really, if it's something the commission needs to be reviewing for a permit, then I think it needs to be reviewed during the permit application. Would be my 2 cents.
This is Commissioner Goklowski. Am I missing something here? But don't most of our, or all the approvals of applications that we have fall, we refer to Regulation 710 all the time, and so I'm just trying to wrap it around my head. I mean, it seems that they're doing everything we've asked them to do so far. That's my only question.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Yes, we referenced section 710. The first sentence says if compensation is proposed or required for section 7.9 of the regulations, a management plan is required. So I think again the question is whether that can be a condition of approval or if you want to see that management plan at this time.
This is Commissioner Boda. Where are we in the timeline?
The public hearing could be continued to the March 12th meeting. No consent to an extension is required because it's still within the 35 days.
So this is Commissioner Boda. I would say let's hold it open. Let's get this squared away. Mr. Lindquist said they're way ahead of architecture anyway. I don't know 100% what that means, but it sounds like they're not in a super rush. We're not pressed for time because this is a public hearing and we have had public comment, particularly about plantings, and we have some public expertise in that area. I don't see any harm in letting the applicant get that final piece put together, and then we could look at it, and it won't take us 2 hours. So
If I could have 20 seconds to respond. So it's just from my understanding, and I think what is apparent from just reading 7.10, there's no latitude in this. Not as if you can say it's going to be 85% or 90%. It's 85%. As you have to remove invasive species. So you have to remove invasive species. So this is essentially going to be a document that regurgitates what you're looking at. Not as if there's going to be any latitude, interpretation. I don't know. I would ask Bob Russo his opinion. I have a lot of respect for Bob, and I'd be interested in hearing what he has to say.
If the commission would like, I'd be happy to comment on it.
I think the door is open, Mr. Russo.
Okay, certainly. I think Mr. Nuff is correct in that the section 7.10 that's on the screen in front of us offers very little latitude in terms of what the contractor and what the owner will then be responsible for. And I will say that my experience with other inland wetland commissions is that something like this has and can be done as a condition of approval. I have certainly seen it done by other commissions that I have served as staff for.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Bassman. My concern is what's the basis when the next one comes in and says, let's consider it for a condition of approval as opposed to being reviewed as part of the plan? I don't know why, at this point in time, at least it hasn't come apparent that there's a reason other than, we're at a gate, and there's some of us that would like to close that gate sooner rather than later. So my concern is you open the door here for future applications when there may be more reason to review than maybe there is in this case because of what's been presented to date.
But I think that's exactly the point, that they will all be the same. They will all be the same.
Then why wasn't it included?
I think it's because it is essentially boilerplate. And this is not an item upon which the commission would approve or deny the application. It is literally checking a box in the same way that we have provided a prior approval of a wetland application as well as a drafts or a SWIP for another project. That is, I think those are probably subject to more interpretation. This is literally taking the document and saying, does it say that 85% or better survival rates is included? Yes, it does. So
I'm sure there are other
I am confident that if you made every approval conditioned upon the submission of reporting compliance to 7.10, everything would be fine.
This is Commissioner Papantonis. I have a question for Mr. Aniskovich. If we approve this not as, if we make this not a condition of approval, are we going to bind ourselves and create problems with other applications?
Bill Aniskovich, Town Attorney, Bernard Salzman Wallman. I think that was the chairman's concern, if I was hearing him correctly, that there was a question about, if you will, precedent or what happens to the next application. So I think that the issue is, from my perspective, procedurally, how has the commission dealt with this in the past? And as Mr. Russo said, and as I suggested in my short reply to Jamie Frederick's question, I procedurally believe you could do either one. I don't think procedurally you are running foul of your regulations by requiring either it be a condition or that you extend the hearing and you have the plan come in so that you can take a look at it. I would say the basis for keeping it open and getting a look at the plan at the commission level is that while it is pretty boilerplate, 85%, it does also say that the agency may require, if compensation is proposed, a management plan. So there's some discretion there. It also says that the plan may or may not include all of the requirements that they outline below. Yes, 85% is pretty clear, but in each case, the actual plan may be different based on the circumstances of the site. So I think to that end, Commissioner Boda's point is well taken. That is, let's take a look at what it is that's coming in. Yeah, it's got to be 85% or better, no doubt. But I think there are good arguments either way, and I think procedurally the commission's on a sound footing, whichever way it chooses to go.
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Thank you for that. I do just want to clarify the second sentence is for when section 7.9 compensation is not required for section 7.9, and in this case it is. So
right, but
all of the section would apply.
Yes, Bill Aniskovich again. Yes, but my point is, as it relates to future applications, they may not be the same as this one, and that would be the basis on which you distinguish treating one as a condition and treating another as a part of a plan approval, initial plan approval. That's all I was trying to point out.
Jamie Frederick in the Wetland Agent. Thank you for that clarification. And on that note, I did want to follow up and say I think B and C, they are boilerplate. Like, I definitely don't have an issue with it. The same with D. I think the only real point of question for the commission is regarding A, if you think that you need to be looking at that information or if that can be reviewed by staff. And or if you want to have it be a condition of approval that comes back.
Yeah, this is Commissioner
Which
Boda.
obviously wouldn't be determined tonight, just whether or not you need that information.
Yeah,
prior to
I was just thinking something similar. It's like the 85% is certainly boilerplate, but I don't know. I don't see management of erosion and sediment control, short and long-term invasive species management as because you have such an engineered property. It's not as copy paste as 85% survival, because it depends on all of the control measures that are in place, how they're maintained. I don't know. It doesn't, not everything seems so quick. And I, you know, I think that we, in a bigger picture, I think that we have been accommodating in terms of time. We have been very accommodating in terms of time. We were rushed and we had a special meeting to accommodate. And there is this time pressure that we're not actually under. So I don't know. I think this is a public hearing. If there is information that is particular to the application, that the public should have access to it before we close the public hearing.
This is Commissioner as well, in terms of your item A3, invasive species management, the monitoring for invasive species could be very different if somebody wants to achieve a different rate than an 85%. So I agree, there are areas here that are maybe more boilerplate than others. And I think it would be appropriate for the commission to understand the full context of 710 as it applies to each and every application.
Okay, we will supply the report required by 7.10 as soon as we possibly can and as far in advance of the next hearing date as we possibly
Well, that's certainly in the right spirit here. So appreciate that.
And by the way, the Commissioner Bowden's point, you have been very accommodating, and we do appreciate special meetings and moving things along as quickly as possible. So, and that has not gone unnoticed, and we do very much appreciate
that. Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent, unless there's somebody else. Okay.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Just a couple of points. Is there anything else from the list of items that the commission wants to see prior to the close of the public hearing addressed in writing beyond the written comment responses that we've received?
This is Commissioner Boda. I just noticed I had one more box. I don't even, it was somebody else's question and I don't know if it was ever answered about the dewatering and if there was any consideration of wildlife location, if there's any turtles or anything that's living in there. Maybe that was addressed in some report that's come in, but I did have that as an open question.
But Matt Regan, the soil scientist, on his testimony spoke of, and I don't remember fully his answer, but he spoke of the wildlife habitation in the pond and what he witnessed. I thought that was testimony he gave a couple weeks, maybe it was before the public hearing. It was a request you guys had, but I thought that was brought up. I forget when that was, though.
So I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Boda. where is it addressed?
I think it was a question, this is Eric Lindquist, project
Yeah.
manager at Time Bond. I think it was a question that was brought up. For the life of me, I can't remember which meeting it was at, but I thought it was a question that came up and he answered it because I remember him giving an answer on it and saying he didn't see turtles I think he went through all the list of what he witnessed on site and went through all that. But if you want a summary of it again, I could talk to him. Like I said, he's under the weather tonight, but I wish he was here that he could answer the question.
Yeah, maybe that can just be a blurb included somewhere in text that I can read before the next meeting.
Any other questions, comments, Commissioner Begeman?
Commissioner Begeman, the 2-to-1 mitigation versus the 1-to-1. Did we exhaust possibilities for finding other places to mitigate within this watershed? In other words, down by the river I know we talked something about the pond to the east, but I'm just wondering why it isn't more than 1-to-1.
I think there were two things. One, we're building up to the woods and we were trying not to disturb into the woods in other places. I also think part of the reason for the conservation easement and the willingness for Encompass to give that was also related to this topic. It wasn't just about the steep slopes, it was about the mitigation aspects of everything as well.
It's Commissioner Begeman again. So was there consideration given to enhancing the water, the wetland to the east as part of a mitigation plan?
Wetlands east, you mean the pond by the roadway?
Yeah. Or the other one to the west?
I know there was and I could share my screen on this. I know there was comments in the third-party review related to concerns with the proximity of the development to the wetlands to the west, and there were additional trees added to provide additional buffer and vegetation in this area for birds and whatnot to, I'm not the expert to speak on this topic, I apologize. But there was additional beefing up of the landscaping along the side as part of that adjustment. So more robust planting was added. And in terms of the mitigation, we said around the level spreaders and stuff, as has been brought up a lot in this meeting, this has now been vegetated a lot more. So it's functioning a lot more as a habitat than it was before with just geonetting and a level spreader overflow. So we're just trying to maximize the footprint of development without going into the trees, beefing up the perimeters to provide more robust landscaping and providing the conservation easement. That's been our approach for this.
This is Commissioner Begeman.
And I would just point out that the peer reviewer also indicate that they believe the wetland enhancement provided by the applicant is suitable for section 7.9 of the regulations. I think it's because the resource that we're talking about is a man-made pond. So it's not as if we're filling wetlands and then need to mitigate at a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio somewhere else. This is a pond that the current owner dug, and as Eric has testified, is serendipitous in terms of its location, but this is enhancement in and of itself. But we're not filling anything. We are taking a man-made pond that performs virtually no functions whatsoever as set forth in Matt Regan's report, and we're actually making it functioning. So mitigation, I think, in almost every other instance, and that's what makes this application unusual. Mitigation in every instance, I'm filling 2,500 square feet of wetlands. I need to go find 7,500 square feet, and maybe it's 2,500 square feet of an isolated wetland that has no real function. I'm going to create 7,500 square feet of wetlands that actually is performing a function. That's providing, retention of chemicals or nitrogen, or actually enhancing something. But we're doing the reverse. We're not filling a functioning wetland. We are making a non-functioning pond functional. So I think in that case, the 1-to-1, in addition, combined with the conservation easement, is the mitigation that we're proposing. And it is sufficient as depicted in your peer review.
This is Commissioner Bergman, I hear you, but we know from experience that not always creation or enhancement works out the way it's supposed to, or bad things can happen during construction, and sediment erosion can occur. So I'm asking that question so that we can talk about it.
Well, I think Eric has testified at length, at the great lengths that he and the team will go to ensure that there's no erosion in that pond or as a result of that water basin.
Yeah.
And I don't know that adding wetlands someplace else is going to make up for the failure to construct that pond in the proper manner.
If we look at this clouded area here, this is essentially highlighting the area of the existing tree canopy. And as you can see, everything we're doing is tied up to that. And if I go to the next page, same over here, we're tied up to it, and all along here, tied up to it and beefing it up with more landscaping as best we can. And over here where the building's being demolished, we're adding additional trees, removing impervious area that's going to this pond and could be causing more pollution, as impervious areas take more, usually have more sediment and things of that nature. So like I said, the goal is to maximize with landscape and greenscape and all the positive things we want to do. If we were to provide some other way of mitigating, there's too steep a slope to mitigate here. Anything we do would be in the woods and could cause more disturbance within the wetlands or regulated areas. And those things you're concerned about, would we be introducing those areas that we're leaving untouched right now? So if we're going to add mitigation to a wetland system and do some work over there, now you got to get guys down there to do the work. You got to dig up the area, put the plantings in. You're introducing those same concerns you have over in those locations that aren't currently under that exposure. So it's a little bit of both.
Commissioner Bergman, is invasive management considered a mitigation? Because I'm sure the Branford Land Trust, if they go for the easement, would love to have some mitigation of the invasives before they get it.
It's actually required by the easement.
Before they get the easement?
Yeah, so it is one of the things that we're allowed to do is the removal of invasive species.
Commissioner Bergman, so allowed to do is very different from being required.
This is Commissioner Goklowski. I just want to get two small things clarified. Number one, currently the existing pond, that is all runoff from the top of the hill. Is that correct?
Yeah, most of that, there probably is some level of superficial groundwater that comes off the rock slope underneath the ground, but it's fairly minimal. Most of the runoff to the pond is overland sheet flow, correct?
There's really no controls set in place at this time. Is that correct?
To the pond, in terms of controls, what do you mean by controls?
Protection to anything or?
No, it's just, it's currently stabilized with grass. That's a protection measure, just being stabilized, but no.
All right. And the pond to the west has nothing to do with this project?
We're not touching it. There's currently a roadway.
That's not, is that transferring to is that pond transferring to the new property, or is it's going to remain where it is for whoever owns that property now? It's not part of this land purchase.
It's currently part of the pond to the west is part of this property. It's it's like a panhandle that goes off there that we're not touching. On the east side of that pond, there's an existing driveway that serves the residential lots. That acts almost as like a barrier, so we're not even going past that driveway. So all of our disturbance will be to the west of that.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Basserman, and I know your battle is with P&Z on the sidewalk. Obviously, if if they insist on a sidewalk, there may be wetland impact as a result of that. I guess you'd then have to issue a modification. Is that the process that you would go through?
Yeah, and we're confident that when we explain why we're not proposing one, that, reason will prevail.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions?
Jamie,
Before
Frederick,
we continue,
Rick,
go ahead, Jamie.
in the wetland agent, I've got one more compound question. Does the commission feel that the peer review needs to attend the continuation of the public hearing? And if not, does the commission feel that they need to review any additional materials submitted and provide comment? Or are you satisfied with the work they've done to date?
So this is Commissioner Bodo. So we have just the 7.9 material that's going to come back in.
7.10.
7.10, excuse me.
Perhaps we could split the baby, and when we supply the report required by 7.10, Bob can review it and submit an email or some sort of response. And then if there's any questions, you can ask him to attend. If he's fine, he can just say so. So.
This is
Commissioner
Commissioner Bodo.
Papantonis, that works.
I mean, by the way, we certainly have no objection to Bob attending. But I also don't want to make him feel better at me that doesn't need to.
Right.
This Commissioner Gokowski, I would be satisfied with a response from Mr. Russo. He's been very forthcoming.
All right, Jamie, Frederick, and the wetland agent. So I'm getting the consensus that we don't need attendance at another meeting, but we would like for Bob Russo to review the plan that gets submitted. Provide email comments or what have you. Okay.
Okay, at this point, I think it's prudent to continue the matter that we were discussing. And let's see, the next meeting would be March
12th, and the meeting will be held remotely via Zoom.
Via Zoom on March, did you say 12th?
Yes.
Okay, March 12th. Thank you all for your attendance and your comments this evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And next up, we have the Chestnut Street Bridge application. We have deliberations associated with that. Just to revisit, any commissioner that was not at the last meeting, have you reviewed the recording so that you can participate this evening? Is there anybody that needs to recuse themselves?
Was that for me?
No. Alexa.
Got it.
Okay. BRIW 251001 Chestnut Street Bridge, replacement of the Chestnut Street Bridge over to Branford Supply Pond. We have closed the public hearing on this matter. Therefore, no new information can be considered this evening. We are going to review the material as presented. I think the exhibit list now shows 31 items on the exhibit. That's the material that we can review. And Jamie, what is our time frame associated with now this BRIW 7 regarding deliberations?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So as you noted, the public hearing has been closed. The commission has 35 days to make a decision. So you have until March 18th. So hopefully we can get this resolved this evening. But if not, if there's something that you want staff to further look at, we could continue it to the March 12th meeting. That said, I did prepare a document for review by the commission regarding potential staff recommended considerations for findings and conditions. So I can screen share that if the commission wants, or I can screen share any of the exhibits. And I can make modifications to any and all of those things, and we can also add additional things, of course. It's just a starting place for the commission to consider.
Yeah, I think the staff report would help focus the process. So why don't you post that on the screen?
All right, so I think kind of the first point of order is to remind the commission that there was a finding that the activity may have a significant impact to wetlands and or water courses. So based on that, the commission shall not issue a permit unless you make a finding that there is no prudent and feasible alternatives to the plan that was proposed. And we do have that prudent and feasible alternative analysis that was submitted and discussed at a couple of the meetings. Listed out some standard conditions that would be applicable to the project, including pre-construction, initial erosion control inspection, mitigation, and pre-planting meeting, planting inspection, which would be post-planting, and final inspection. Possible conditions for consideration would include following changes shall be made to the plans and submitted for review and approval prior to start of work. Update references to Connecticut guidelines for soil erosion and sedimentation control. Should actually say 2024. Go ahead and make that change right now, as amended, rather than 2022. Correct typos, site missing from fourth bullet under notes throughout plans. Indicate on sheet 13 that settling basins shall be located entirely outside of the wetland area. Correct language on sheet 13 regarding fisheries restrictions as outlined in the fisheries letter, exhibit 6, to prevent any on-site confusion. Next one is an original signed and sealed copy of the approved plan shall be submitted to the Inland Wetlands Agency prior to start of work. We do have the online permitting platform. So kind of open-ended on whether we need paper copies at this point. I think my main concern is making sure that we have a signed and sealed copy of the revised plans. And that could be a digital signed and sealed. The town shall require the contractor to complete mitigation site work aside from ongoing monitoring prior to release of any performance bond associated with the project. If planting is delayed due to invasive species management needs, a copy of a contract for the completion of any outstanding work shall be submitted to the agency. For installation and maintenance of mitigation areas will be consistent with section 710 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses regulations of the town of Branford, which includes plantings per the approved plan, submission reports at 6 months, 1 year, and annually thereafter for a period of no less than 5 years that document 85% survival rate of planted vegetation, monitoring and control of invasive species. And then given the little bit of uniqueness in their plan, mitigation areas shall be monitored and maintained for a period of at least 5 years with monitoring reports to be submitted per regulation 710. Plants shall be replaced as needed to ensure at least 85% survival of woody plants and vegetative cover. In the case where planting is delayed due to invasive species management, the monitoring of plantings shall be at least 3 years from time of planting. Because they had called out that they might not do some of the planting in one area until they've done invasive species management for 3 to 5 years. So I wanted to make sure that we had a period of time where we were actually making sure the plantings persisted. And we're able to establish. And then the last one is wetland scientist or landscape architect. Experience in wetland plantings must approve any alteration to the wetland mitigation plan, including but not limited to changes of species and numbers of plants. And the qualified professional shall notify the wetland department of changes in writing. And then we've got our standard conditions and general provisions of all permits.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Jamie, why isn't item 2, maybe I'm not understanding what 2 is, a standard condition for all applications?
I'm sorry, number 2?
Yes, the original signed and sealed.
Because usually, hopefully, we have a copy already.
Oh,
But it is kind of the standard language that we put in there, which I realize, like I was kind of indicating, could be tweaked to. We don't necessarily need a paper copy. It could be a digital copy, given our digital permitting system.
oh.
And unless, of course, I did talk with our new zoning / wetland enforcement officer to see if she would need paper copies for compliance purposes in the field, but the permitting program does have the ability to access it. She's got a tablet she can use in the field, so she can pull up the site plans that way. And if there's a plan that she needs a paper copy of, she could print it off. I have to admit, when I go out and do inspections, I usually like to print off a reduced size copy and highlight some of the things that either I want to make sure I look at while I'm out there, or that maybe I thought was problematic while I was out there, and you don't want that to be your file copy anyway.
So signed and sealed is code for paper.
Well, original I think might be where
Oh.
Where that paper is implied. Signed and sealed could there is a digital
Right.
option for signed and sealed. So I think signed and sealed is the main key point that we want to make sure we keep.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is Commissioner Mursky. Jamie, just checking, is there anything that is either has not been addressed that is not on this report that we have to address, or no?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, I think all the things that I thought might be outstanding are addressed in this. Of course, like I said, as a starting point. So if any commissioners think I omitted something, or if you have any additional concerns, you can raise those. But I think that we've gotten a lot of revised materials and comment letters, and I think some of these conditions help provide a little bit of clarity on some of the points that maybe could use a little bit more information.
This is Commissioner Basserman. When I looked at some of the notes on the prior meeting, are we confident that we, because there was a lot of questions and replies on kind of the schedule of events to make this all happen. Are we pretty clear in terms of having a document that lays that out?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Are you talking about a construction sequence, or are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that we received additional information on that. Obviously, it's up to commissioners to make that call. But we did receive some additional details, and they did include the timelines regarding restrictions from fisheries. Like the condition number 1, I noted that I think one of the sheets maybe had either a double negative or inverted the time frame or something. So I just wanted that to be corrected, but I think that could be addressed through condition 1D.
This is Commissioner Goklowski. If my memory serves me correctly, I believe when the gentleman was speaking, they laid it out a pretty good timeline because they have to do it around um, the animal life and the weather and everything was pretty much laid a very tight timeline.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Does any commissioner feel that there's an item that should be included in the possible conditions for consideration, not apparent on the 3-page staff report? Maybe time to take a vote. Somebody want to make a motion on BRIW-7 Chestnut Street and 200 Chestnut Street?
Okay, hold on. This is Commissioner Boda. Jamie, do we need to first do the finding of no prudent and feasible alternative, or should it be wrapped into the approval?
Jamie Frederick, Inland Wetland Agent. I think it could be potentially done either way. I think historically the commission has done the finding first. I think it might make sense to start with the finding.
Then this is Commissioner Boda, and I will make a motion that for BRIW 251001, the Chestnut Street Bridge, for this application, which received a public hearing for its potential impact on wetlands and watercourses, that we find there is no prudent and feasible alternative based on the testimony and the record that would cause less or no environmental impact to wetland and watercourses and still enable the very necessary bridge for the town.
Somebody want to second that motion?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Armstrong. I will second the motion.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll take a vote on that finding. I guess question before the vote, Commissioner Basserman, is the finding separate from the vote on the application itself?
Yeah.
And that's our standard practice when there's a feasible and prudent element to the application?
I can't remember, but that's what I just asked, and it was like it feels cleaner to just do it that way.
Gotcha. Okay, because it was included in the staff report as a finding, I guess it was listed as a possible finding. So we crossed that bridge when we, I guess, just had this motion on the finding itself.
Yeah, and then we can vote on it based on that finding.
Gotcha. All right, we've had a motion and a second. We're going to take a vote regarding BRIW-7 Chestnut Street and 200 Chestnut Street, the bridge. Please indicate by either saying yay or opposed. Commissioner Goklowski.
Commissioner Goklowski, yay.
Commissioner Begeman.
Commissioner Begeman, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong.
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
Commissioner Papatonis.
Commissioner Papantonis, aye.
Commissioner Boda.
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Mirsky.
Mirsky, aye.
Commissioner Basserman. Aye.
Okay, This is Commissioner Boda. I make a motion that we approve BRIW number 25.1001, the Chestnut Street Bridge, based upon the finding of no prudent and feasible alternative following a lengthy public hearing, and that as a condition of approval, we also include the required inspections as outlined in the staff report, whose date I can't see right now.
I did modify 2024, so
I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, the staff report dated 2/26/26, as well as the other conditions for consideration from 1A through 5, as well as the standard conditions A through F, as well as the general provisions in the issuance of all permits.
And there's a motion. Is there a second?
Commissioner Gokowski, I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All right, we're going to go in reverse order this time. How do we vote? Commissioner Mirsky,
Commissioner Mirsky, aye.
Commissioner Boda,
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Papantonis,
Commissioner Papantonis, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong,
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
Commissioner Begeman,
Commissioner Begeman, aye.
Commissioner Gokowski.
Gokowski, aye.
All right. Hopefully that bridge resolves the safety concern.
Peter, did you vote?
Oh, Commissioner Bassman, yes. And the public will be safer with this application being completed. Great. All right, we have no applications for receipt. Enforcement, cease and correct 250502 is a continuation, 175 Cherry Hill Road, continuation of the show cause hearing. Jamie, did we get any additional information?
Jamie Frederick and Llewellyn agent. I've been in touch with the parties, and I did get correspondence from soil scientists with preliminary findings. They're working with a new soil scientist. There has been snow cover since this was last continued, so completing a site inspection has not been possible. So my recommendation would be to continue this to the earlier of the March 12th or the March 26th meetings, whichever one allows for that site inspection to happen based on the snow cover.
Any objection? Okay.
This is Commissioner Boda. No, I guess, objection to bringing it up at the next meeting. I just, it's supposed to be really warm next week. And so I would feel deeply concerned about erosion failures as all of this snow melt starts to move. So perhaps to just keep an eye on it.
Noted.
Thank you.
Across the board through town.
Okay, we have jurisdictional ruling requests next. We're in receipt of a number of jurisdictional ruling requests as noted here on the agenda. I think I'm going to ask the town attorney if these requests are properly before this commission. You're muted, Bill.
Oops, sorry. I'm sorry, Peter. Thank you. Bill Enniscoach, town attorney, Brenner, Saltzman, and Wallman. The jurisdictional ruling request is a form that is issued pursuant to your regulation 4.4, and under the plain language of that regulation, the form may be submitted by a, quote, person proposing to conduct a permitted operation or non-regulated operation and use. Therefore, these jurisdictional ruling requests, having not been submitted by a person who's proposing to conduct a permitted operation or non-regulated operation and use, are not properly before the commission. And it would be our advice that the commission treat the substantive allegations that are contained within the ruling requests as complaints that should be investigated by staff and handled by the commission per your established practices and protocols.
Unless there is an objection from the commissioner, I guess I would rule that these requests in item 8 do not meet our regulations, and therefore we do not have the authority to review them. And I guess at this point, staff, as it is his normal practice, will look at any complaint and advise the commission if they have a need to review that complaint. But at this point, I think it's time to move to the next item.
Respectfully,
Item 9.
I have my hand up.
We have,
Respectfully,
I'm
I'd
sorry,
like to address. May I? Since I'm the one that actually.
I'm moving to item 9.
Well, point of order. I'm the one that has submitted those, and I have an
We're
objection.
moving to item 9.
Well, I have a point of order on item 9 as well. May
You
I?
can't raise a point of order since you're not a commissioner.
Well,
Only points of order can be raised by a commission member per Robert's
Okay.
Rules and Parliamentary Procedure.
may I respectfully offer something for consideration on item 9, since you won't let me speak on item 8?
Yes, I'd say we're moving to item 9 and you're be able to comment in other business on item 9.
So are you, let me just, so that I'm clear, you're telling me that I am not going to be allowed to comment on item 8?
Correct.
Okay. Regarding item 9A, I want to respectfully note that the title, as it is on the agenda, draft response to resident Lorraine Esposito regarding comments, is not accurate. No actual draft response exists in the packet, and no staff investigation has been documented. There are new items added to the document very recently, though not in itself a violation. Considering the degree of effort that's gone in here, I would have appreciated it. So it seems a little less transparent than we would expect. So I am asking that the commissioners disregard that item in totality, because it does not give the commissioners any information on which to base a determination. So I am deeply troubled that you will not consider the jurisdictional rulings that I have carefully and cited very thoroughly and placed before you. And with that, I ask for guidance. How can I get this commission to pay attention to these very serious violations that are ongoing so that we can resolve them? Please help me. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Basserman. You've heard that town council has indicated that there is no standing on these jurisdictional rulings because there is no activity proposed, and that is the basis for the jurisdictional ruling request. The items that you wish us to consider needs to be handled by staff as it handles normal complaints. And that's where this sits right now, as a complaint. Staff will review those issues within the context of the complaint. And if there is an opportunity for the commission in the context of its regulations to review it, then staff will make sure that that is on our agenda for consideration.
Okay.
These
Let
are
me
not
just,
being. Go
I
ahead.
have
These are-
to, I'm sorry. I understand that you have a process and I respect it. And there is discretion and latitude. I do not understand the delay then, because these issues have been placed in front of the enforcement officer and the commission, and we've been in this environment twice already talking about this. And there has been no investigation at all whatsoever. So am I to believe then that for some reason, the serious concerns that I have placed in front of the enforcement officers several times and you commissioners do not warrant investigation? In contrast to, I cut Phragmites down in May, and within 24 hours, I got a notice of violation. So this feels a very unequal application of enforcement. And I don't know how much stronger I can protest, because this is now escalated beyond this body, since you're not willing to even come and look. That's all I'm going to say, because I have given you absolutely everything I can give you. So it will not come from me next time. That's all I can say to you. So do what you're going to do.
Right. One more time, we've indicated that with the material being reviewed, we had town council review the appropriateness of the jurisdictional ruling requests, which we said we would do, and we did. You heard him indicate this evening that it does not fall within our responsibilities as a wetland commission, that these are complaints that will be reviewed by staff as a complaint, not as a jurisdictional ruling. What may come out of that complaint is activity that the commission would look at if we find it is in our responsibilities. Cutting down invasives is within our responsibility, and we can respond to that.
I understand. The town council has given you guidance in the November meeting that the pipe that is discharging every minute of every day, unfiltered, God knows what's in that water, directly into the wetlands, telling you can't claim ownership, don't know about it, you know it's happening there, and yet you're not going to do anything about it. You're going to just kick that can down the road even farther. I think that that does not actually fulfill your obligations. So you're going to do what you're going to do, but it does not end here. I am adamant about this.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Excuse me, hold on. I see a hand raised, Mr. Yanukovych.
Two things, a suggestion and a comment. First, I want to clarify that the town, there's a difference between acknowledging that the pipe referenced by Ms. Esposito ties into the town system, which no one has ever denied it does. What the question was asked and answered was whether or not the town installed the pipe.
No,
and the town
that's not
did
the
not
question.
install the pipe. That's
not
town
the
did not.
question. No, that's not the question. It's
Having said that, Mr. Chairman, not to revisit past history, I would suggest to provide Ms. Esposito some level of comfort that these investigations, which I know to have in some cases been conducted, and there have been site visits to the site. But having said that, I think that it would be in order for you to make a motion at this point to direct the staff to make these complete these investigations with respect to each one of the complaints within a reasonable period of time and report back to the commission. That would be my guidance at this point in order to put this into a position where a final decision by the commission can be made that is appealable to Superior Court.
So let me get this straight, Attorney Yanukovych. I've indicated that the complaints would be reviewed by staff. You want to make this a formal motion?
Yeah, I think that would be in order. But it's up to the commission. The chair. This is your discretion.
all right. Oh my God.
Any commission want to comment on
Oh my God.
This matter?
Oh my God.
This is Commissioner Mursky, if I may speak. I agree with Attorney Aniskovich. I do think there's several issues here, and we need to have an understanding of what, if any, of these issues are items that we need to consider as a commission. I understand that the staff needs to review them, but we'll need guidance from the staff as to what needs to be within our purview. And I agree with that recommendation if other commissioners do as well.
This is Commissioner Gokowski. I feel the same way.
This is Commissioner Papantonis, I do as well.
Would a commissioner like to frame a motion to take the items that are identified to date and have staff review those matters as complaints and bring forward to the commission anything that is within our jurisdiction?
I'll take a stab at it. This is Commissioner Goklowski. Regarding item 8 on our calendar for February 26, 26, the following items: JR1W-26-1, 26-2, 26-3, 26-4, 26-5, 26-6, 26-7, 26-8, 26-9, 26-10. Those particular items, we as a commissioner requested that the staff review each and every one of those items and at their earliest possible convenience, report back to the commission regarding this. We understand that the weather conditions right now are a little not conducive to do an inspection or an investigation, but as time prevails, as the weather changes, they'll be able to do that. And as they look at those items, they can report during our normal meetings.
This is Commissioner Bassman. My concern is we 5 minutes ago determined that we had no jurisdictional rulings before us. You referenced jurisdictional ruling numbers. So I have a little problem with the motion. Commissioner Anisco, Attorney Anisco.
Got a motion on the table. Should it be withdrawn so we can move forward with?
You want to take that under consideration, Commissioner Gokowski?
Yes, I'll take it under consideration. I'll allow Attorney Aniskovich to speak.
Procedurally, Mr. Chairman, Bill Aniskovich, Town Attorney, Brenner, Saltzman, Wallman. Procedurally, since the motion's been made, Commissioner Gokowski, it has to be withdrawn or seconded before I can properly speak.
Okay, this is Commissioner Gokowski. I'll doesn't matter.
Commissioner Gokowski, if you choose to withdraw, I'll make a stab at it.
I'm gonna withdraw my request at this time.
All right. This is Commissioner Papantonis. I would like to make a motion requesting that staff visit 72 Midwood Road, 24 Stone Street, 16 Stone Street, 20 Stone Street, 24 Stone Street, 1 Kids Cave Road, 2 Kids Cave Road, 3 Kids Cave Road, 4 Kids Cave Road, 5 Kids Cave Road, 6 Kids Cave Road, 290 Shore Drive, 294 Shore Drive, 302 Shore Drive, 4 Grove Street, 10 Glen Street, 49 Midwood Road, 55 Midwood Road, 65 Midwood Road, and 71 Midwood Road. And investigate reports of improper swale grading and vegetation removal, catch basin replacement and associated work, corrugated metal pipe discharging at 24 Stone Street, irregularities with municipal and private snow removal and de-icing practices, gutter and downspout replacement, and potential pipe enlargement specifically at 24 Stone Street. And pesticide applications at the above addresses, and report, oh, I'm sorry, I missed, an improper installation of a generator at 24 Stone Street, and an EV charging infrastructure and solar panels, that weren't, I'm not sure that falls within inland wetlands, but asking staff to visit those properties and report back on improper activities in those locations.
Is there a second on that motion?
Wow.
This is Commissioner Goplowski. I'll second that motion.
Oh. Okay. All right.
Attorney Yanukovych, process-wise,
Shocking.
I have difficulty taking a vote without your comment. Do I need to do we motion withdrawn again?
Yeah, you do.
I asked Attorney Yanukovych.
Bill Yanukovych, Brenner Saltzman, Wellman Town Attorney. Ms. Esposito, you asked for respect earlier. I would ask that you give the commission equal respect by toggling off your volume until you've been recognized by the chair per the protocols that govern this meeting.
Sure.
Anyway. The concern I have with this motion is we've gone from overly general to overly specific. The ruling the chair made was that the jurisdictional ruling requests were not properly before it. So the commission has not, the chair has not ruled and the commission has not voted to determine that they don't have jurisdiction over these areas. They simply have, the chair has simply ruled that they're not properly before the commission, and so the commission can't take action on them. That was the ruling of the chair. That's number one. Number two, that brings you to item 9A, which is the information related to various complaints. My suggestion would be merely that the commission approve a motion to direct staff to investigate those complaints and any other complaints submitted in this regard within a reasonable period of time, such that enforcement action, if indicated, can be taken, but that we treat these complaints as we treat every other complaint received by the Wetlands Office. That's all I was trying to do in order to do something that would move the process along and close it out.
All right, I withdraw my motion. This is Commissioner Papantonis.
Commissioner Goplowski?
I withdraw my second.
This is Commissioner Boda. I'll try. Third time, right? I will make a motion that the items on the agenda 8A, 8J through 8A through 8J, which do not meet our rise to the level of our jurisdiction, be investigated by town staff as a complaint, as any and all complaints that come to the commission in a timely fashion. And in the event that any of those complaints or any other complaints that come to the staff that do align with our purview be brought to the commission.
Hopefully there is a second out there. Third time's a charm.
Commissioner Papantonis, second.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. Commissioner Goplowski.
Commissioner Goplowski, aye.
Commissioner Begeman.
Commissioner Begeman, aye.
Commissioner Armstrong.
Commissioner Armstrong, aye.
Commissioner Papantonis.
Commissioner Papantonis, aye.
Commissioner Mirsky,
Commissioner Mirsky, aye.
Commissioner Boda,
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Basserman, aye. And I do not see a hand raised. Ms. Esposito, you did have your hand raised?
Yes, I did, but you went right over it. So you've already voted. So why would I even bother comment now? Is not the process that I witness for every other person that comes before this body. There is such great care that is given to all the issues that I have brought in front of you. Maybe technically, well, your forms themselves don't really allow a lot of latitude. And I don't know how many times I have to send a complaint to get somebody to look at it because this has been going on since May. So you need to go through it again. I think that that is a bridge too far. So that you guys are just so willing to ignore what I have placed right in front of you as serious concerns is mind-boggling to me. So, and I bet you don't get very many people in front of you that are complaining that you don't enforce the rules enough. They probably complain that you're enforcing them too rigorously. It is a disparity that I hope that each one of you will really take some time to think about. And because you've already voted, I can't change anything. So there you go.
We have rules that we abide by, and
Pardon me?
unfortunately, the process that you went through doesn't fit within our jurisdiction.
And let me just say, Janie never said anything to me. She put it on the agenda. Never said, correct these errors. This can't come before us. And you got me here, and this is the third time that we're going round and round, and nothing is happening. So, all right. I am committed, so you will see me again.
You'll need to work with staff. Thank you.
There you go. I'll work with staff.
All right, we have agent approvals. Inland Wetland 26-4, 155.
Wow. I'm sorry.
Unit 1. Installation of manufactured home and associated driveway and walkway. That was approved. Any other comments, Jamie? Silence.
Oh, sorry. If I said to me, were you asking me to comment?
Only if you want to, really.
The materials are in OpenGov. If commissioners have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Okay. No correspondence. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you. And
Good
keep those
night, all.
shovels handy.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.